Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about AARI, Automation Anywhere Robotic Interface. You can say in simple terms how humans and bot can work together. So the presentation structure that I would be going through AARI concepts and utility, then would go through different interfaces of AARI, then we'll talk about the AARI web. Our focus will be on our AARI web. Firstly, we'll see the main components, how the architecture of AARI works, what are the roles and teams management. In the end, we'll create a simple use case and we'll demo it. So AARI concept. Typically, when you build bots, they are focused on one task or some set of tasks where human interaction input is not required. With AARI, you can also cover use cases where bot will perform some task and human will perform the other tasks. So you can cover use cases with end-to-end workflow, which will involve bot, humans, and users. Some of the steps done by a single person and most of the process done in an organization involves multiple people working together and doing the work. AARI gives the utility that we can leverage for a task. It's like moving from task automation to process automation. We can also call it human in the loop type of process. There are various ways you can interact with AARI. So let's talk about AARI interfaces. So first one is AARI web. This is one of the interface where user need not to have anything installed on the machine. The user can directly log into AARI portal. Typically it is the URL, you can append AARI to it. Then user can see the processes and the task tab where you can start a request or do your task. When you do some task by completing the form, submitting it, it gives control back to the bot runner, which is unattended. And then that does the work. Control will come back to user side if any human interaction is required. Then the other interface is AARI desktop. This requires bot agent to be installed on your machine. So when you start working on anything, bot would directly run on your machine. Until the time it is running, you can't do anything else on your machine. There are some AARI add-ons. So like an Excel has an add-on, the Salesforce has an add-on, Google Sheet also has an add-on. And then there is a AARI mobile app to do the task. And you can't get it from Play Store, but you can get it from Automation Anywhere website. Let's talk about AARI web. So we'll be focusing on AARI web. AARI web has fundamentally three components. One is the process. Process has bot task, human task. The human task is linked to the form. That's the second component. And the bot task is the typical bots that you have seen, or if you have used RPA, then you know those bots, how they are developed. So in terms of architecture, if you see, there are three components to it. One is the user machine. User will log into AARI web portal, then he can create a request, do the task. As soon as he submits the form, the control room will move the control to the bot runner. So if any bot task is there, that will be done by the bot, and it will be unattended bot runner. And if you talk about AARI roles and team management, so as you typically use bot creator for building any bots, you can use the same one for building an AARI process, or for designing a bot, for building a form. And then you need a control room administrator who will create users with AARI admin, manager, user access, assign AARI licenses. Fundamentally, if you see from AARI side, there are three roles that are important. One is AARI manager, other is AARI user, and third one is AARI administrator. So AARI user is the main person who can create an access request, who can submit and do the task. So when you have workflow or a process, and the individual task will be assigned to AARI user. Then you have a AARI manager role. So the purpose of AARI manager is he can add members to the team, he can remove members from a team, he can also assign team roles. Team roles can be owner, admin, or a member. And then there is the third one, AARI administrator. And AARI administrator function is to assign or to link the teams to the process, or to create a device pool, to add bot runner machines to it, because as soon as AARI runs, it will require unattended bot runners, and that are controlled by AARI device pool. And now let's build a simple process, and we'll do the demo for the same. Okay, now we are in the control room. Let's start building the process. So firstly, let me create a folder. Let's name it AARI process. And if I give you an overview of how this process will be, firstly, a user will submit a loan request, and that loan request will go to loan approver. Approver will see a form, a UI. He'll either approve it, reject it, maybe put some comments, and then if the approver approves it, then the loan will proceed for further in the process. If the approver rejects it, then it will send an email that loan has been rejected. So let's start with building this process. So in order to build the process, you see there is a create bot, the create form, then there's a third icon that is create a process. So we'll click on that, and let's name the process as loan approval process. Okay, now you see as soon as you create a process, you see two icons, one is start, one is completed. So in the start is linked to a form, so unless you browse it to a form, it will show the error. So firstly, you have to exit from here. So let's save it and go back to and close it, and let's create a form first. So if you see the second icon here, create a form, click on that, and let's say fill form. Okay, now you see this fill form UI, this comes up. First thing is you delete a row here. Now you will need a few things, so let's start with a couple of fields. So first will be the name of the person who wants to apply for this loan. So let's drag a text box and let's put the label as the name. And then what we'll do is and let's also make it a required field. And the second thing we'll drag is another text box, or I would say let's drag a number, so it will be a loan amount, and let's name it a loan amount. So loan amount, and doesn't allow negative value, let's make it required, and let's save it. Now what we need to do, so this is the form that user will submit. Let's close it. Now attach this to loan approval process. So if I click on start, I can browse that form and click on browse, fill form, choose the form. Its name is loan request form. Let's save it. Now this form is linked here. Now the next step is after the user submits it, it has to go to a loan approver. So let's drag a human task here. Let's drag a human task here, and let's call it loan approve, or I will say review loan. Okay, and element should not have a gap here, but I'll put review loan here, and then make the form. No, So select the form. Now this also needs a form, so what I'll do is I'll close this, I'll go back and create another form, and what we'll do is we will name it review loan request. Okay, so let's create that. Then I need it. So what this will have is, so I'll delete a row, and then what I need to do is I need to drag. Firstly, I'll need to drag a text box which will display the name. Then I'll drag another one, so I'll drag a number which will be loan amount, then probably a text area which will be comment. So let's name it the name of the person applied for the loan, and let's say loan amount, and then we will make both of them as read only, because these are coming from the user who submitted the form. Read only. Let's also make it let's also make this one uneditable, and this we'll call it comment, and I think that should be it. We can make it a require or not, that's fine. So I'll save it, close this one. Now I'll go back to the loan approval process, click on human task, I'll drag this form to it, so review loan request, and save it. Now when we are reviewing loan request, typically we need to, so if a loan approver approves a request, he needs a button to approve. If he wants to reject, he needs a button to reject. But typically we don't add that in a form, so we add that in a process. So let's click add button. Let's say approve, it's primary. Let's say reject, and let's make it secondary. Other thing we'll do is, in order to populate the form with the data that came from the initial form, we need to map these variables. So I'll go here, and you see the request and review loan. So this is the request where the user filled the form, so I'll select that, and then this is the name field, so name of the user who submitted the request. Then I'll go here and then do it for the loan amount. So let's say request and loan amount. We'll add that. Comment we don't need as an input, so we fill this one. Now let's close this. Let's go back to the process. Now you submitted the form, the loan office reviewed it, so he may approve or reject. So we need a if else statement here, and what we'll do here, we'll put a condition. So if let's do a string condition, and source value will come from the review loan, and typically the button values will not find an input and output, so you need to go to meta, and then there is a field called status. This will capture what button you click. So if I click add, and I'll say if it is equal to, and I think I put the name as approve. So if it's approved, then it will go on this path. If it's rejected or the else one, it will go on this path. If rejected, I'll just say completed, and I'll update it to loan rejected. Okay, and what I can do is, then if it is approved, then what I want to do is I want to call it bot task. So let's drag a bot task, and if it's rejected, let's send an email. So I'll also have a bot task for that. So we need to build those bot tasks. I'll save it, go back, and let's create bots, and these are typical bots we create. So I will name it as process loan, and let's create, and I'll just put a message box. I mean, typically you'll have your logic here. I'll say low processing after approval. I'll just save it and see what's the error. Okay, so I think I put it the wrong place. Let's move it to the message. Something else. Save it, close it. Now there's another, so if you go back to your process, there's another step where if it goes to else, you also need a task. So but let's map this first. So what I'll do is I'll put a task name, process, let me make caps lock off, process loan, and let's also name it process loan, and then let's browse that, save it. Now let's go back in creating another bot. Let's name it send email loan rejected, create, and let's also put a message box just to show trans loan rejected, send email. Let's save it, close it. Now go back to your process and link this to your, so let me name it send email, say send email. Let's browse it. So send email, save it. So now if you see the whole process, so first the user submits the form with the name and the amount value. It goes to reviewer. Reviewer reviews the form. He can put a comment, either he approves or rejects. If the user approves, then it goes to a task bot which will continue its processing. We have just put a message box there, and if it's rejected, it will go to another task bot, will send an email. We also have another message box there. So let's save it, close it. Okay, now let's start running the process. So what I'll do, I'll go to loan approval process. Let's run it. So as soon as I run it, you'll see the initial screen and it will ask for name. So let's say Joe, and amount is, let's say $1,000, or let's say $10,000, and let's submit it. Now as soon as I submit it, now it will go for approval. Right now it goes to a check creator. He sees the loan amount, the name, and say looks good, and let's approve it. As soon as you approve it, now you see this is in progress. So what it's actually doing is now running an unattended bot, and right now you see on the same screen, but in the next video that will be coming up, I'll run it in another machine. So these unattended, or these bots, will run on different machines, so user will not see these because they will be running on a different machine. That will be unattended bot runner. So if you see it says loan processing after approval, because you approved it or the reviewer approved it. Let's close it, it will finish. So request gets closed. Now let's see another scenario. Let's go back to process. Let's run it now. This time let's reject it. So let's say Mary, and ask for like $10,000. So submits it. Now it comes to the approver. Say, oh, 10,000 is two more. So it doesn't look good. So let's reject it. As soon as reject, again deploys the bot to unattended bot. Right now I'm running on the same machine, so it is running on the same machine, so you see these pop-ups and all those things. Let's say loan rejected, send email, let's close it. Now it's completed. Okay, so as you've seen, AARI is very useful for expanding your use cases. Typically, as I mentioned earlier, that when you do task automation, you typically avoid human in the loop because there's no way to add human in the loop. You can add through sending emails and that way, but AARI makes it much easier to do the process automation. So you can easily have a user in the loop. So like in this process, there are two users. One is the loan submitter and loan request submitter, and there is a loan approver, and then you have some bots which are running on the machine. So it's a wonderful collaboration between bots and users. Hope it added value to you. Thanks a lot.